Happy New Year! We're happy that you stopped by to check out what's new in Farm Bright for this month. We wrapped up 2023 with a few new features that should help you take better care of your plants, animals, and business operation overall. You'll find improvements and updates to livestock feedings and crop treatments, as well as a brand new feature for annual budgeting. And with the turn of the new year, let's jump right into that. You'll find the new option for budgeting under the Accounting tab. You can see that we've already created a 2024 budget. This tool helps you forecast your income and budget for expenses and allocate for each individual financial category across the months of the year. You can also compare those estimates and forecasts to actual data for transactions that you've added to your account. This helps you see how you're progressing against your estimates as the year goes on. We'll see green bars here showing us that we made more income in these categories than we had budgeted. And we'll see blue progress bars here showing us that we're under budget for these expense categories. And if you've gone over budget, you'll see a red bar. You'll also see totals in each section. We were a bit ahead on our total income, and we were a bit under our forecasted expenses. That means that our net profit was a bit higher than we anticipated. We have a little bit of surplus in case something unexpected happens. Let's take a quick look at how you can create a budget. You just saw that we've already created a 2024 budget, but you can create multiple budgets for a year to account for different scenarios. For this one, we're going to estimate our income a little bit higher and our expenses a little bit lower to represent a best case scenario. It's up to you what categories you want to track. You can choose New Budget Category, and then see options for Expense and Income. The category options that are shown in this menu are directly related to the chart of accounts that you've set up. If you haven't customized the chart of accounts, the default Schedule F categories will be available for you. Maybe we want to first budget for our cattle feed. You can choose if the budget is the same for each month, or uncheck the box and add unique amounts for each month. In this example, we've budgeted a bit differently during the summer and into the fall, as we might spend less on cattle feed if our cows are grazing the fields. We can create and see that line added as a budget expense. As another quick example, we'll add one more category, this time choosing income, and use a custom category for dog food sales. In this example, our business for that doesn't really vary each month, so we'll say that the amount is the same. And you can see the uniform amount applied each month for that category, compared to the varying amount for the cattle feed expense that we saw previously. If situations change and you want to update your forecasts, you can always edit your budget here as well. Even if you forecasted it the same for each month, you can still uncheck that box and change it if you need to. You can budget for as many or as few categories as you'd like. It's entirely up to you. And after creating the budget, you can export it to a spreadsheet or print it and save it as a PDF if you'd like. The next feature that we'll take a look at involves feeding your livestock groups. You can now distribute your group feedings based on the weight of each animal in the group. We'll use our goats as an example and see that we have 3 goats in this small herd. To understand this feature, it's important to see that the 3 goats weigh 500 pounds in total and that one weighs 250 pounds while the other 2 weigh 125 each. We're just using some round numbers here to make the math a bit easier to see. We'll navigate to feedings, create a new group feeding, and add some basic information about what we're feeding. If we choose to distribute this 10 pounds as a total for the group, we'll now see a new checkbox to distribute by animal weight. Since the goats in our group were not the same weight, splitting this feeding evenly on each record might not account for how much each animal actually ate. That can be critical for calculating average daily gains and cost of feed per animal. So selecting the new option to distribute by animal weight will take the animal's current weight into consideration when splitting that total amount fed. It uses the animal's percentage of the total group weight to determine the amount they ate out of the feeding total. We'll save, see that we fed a total of 10 pounds, and then go back to our group and into the record for the largest goat, and see that 5 of those 10 pounds were distributed to him. since his 250 pounds made up 50% of the total group weight. And if we go back to the group and choose one of our smaller goats, we'll see 2.5 pounds of that feeding assigned to them. This new feature can help you account for the actual amount of food that an animal in a group may have eaten. And while we're talking about group feedings, we'll go back into that group, right back into feedings, and I also want to show you that you can now delete a group feeding. Some of our users had pointed out that it could be time-consuming to delete individual feedings if a mistake was made, so you can now delete the group feeding overall to have it removed from all of the records. And while we're in the livestock section, let's take a look at one more feature that we've added to help you with average daily gain from measurements. You've always had a calculated average daily gain that calculates the average for the life of the animal since they were first measured, but we've added a new field to calculate the average daily gain between the last two measurements to give you insight into their most recent growth. This might help you see if a new feed or supplement is increasing growth, or help you diagnose issues like parasites if you see that their growth is slowing. This average daily gain since last measurement is also available for you to add to custom reports. One last new feature that I want to show you in Livestock is your new ability to archive smart groups. Using our goats as an example again, if we had harvested or sold them, we can now choose the group, edit it, and select to archive it. We can save, and then when we go back to our livestock group list, we'll see the goats are no longer listed here under our available groups, but instead shown under archived. This can be used to clean up the list of active groups. You also won't see archived groups under your report or dashboard filters. However, you can always click into the archived group and still see all of their information as it's still all retained. Now we'll move on to the planting section and take a look at one last new feature that you can use when recording a treatment. When you click to create a new treatment, you'll now see a new field for days until end of withholding period. I'll quickly fill out some of the information here, and then add a number to this new field. The withholding period for this insecticide is 14 days, so we'll save, and see our end of withholding period automatically calculated. This withholding period was also added to our schedule. We'll see it here for 14 days after adding the treatment. That way, you'll remember not to harvest within that withholding period window. And that takes us through all of the new features that we'd like to highlight this month. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.